Honestly not sure how safe it is to be in here right now. No idea how deep this hole is at this point. You know, if you got stuck in there, I'm not sure you could get out. Welcome back, everybody, for another mindfulness adventure here in the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains of western North Carolina. Found a super cool creek system here we're gonna go explore. It's been raining for a couple days, so hopefully the water's high. We're gonna wander up here a little bit, go with the flow of the creek right here and see where it takes us. The goal today, of course, is to work hard, to find a spot, to sit down and meditate, be mindful, and be as present as we can out here in the woods, kind of reconnect with nature and ourselves just a little bit. So thank everybody for being here. Here we go. thing here, we've talked about it in a couple of these videos already, is a lot of these areas are just still unstable after the storm. So I'm really on kind of high alert as we go through a lot of these areas right here. You see there's a couple trees that are down right here. You see the root ball right here where it looked like it detached from the side of the hill right there, which everything's just been so wet and windy and stuff like that, that a lot of these have very kind of loose root systems, and a lot of them have fallen over, unfortunately. See another one here as well. That one looks pretty fresh though, so again, always on the alert. So this is an area clearly that has had some significant damage from the storm. You see these giant trees have all fallen down right here. So I'll try to navigate through here very carefully. Honestly not sure how safe it is to be in here right now. It's crazy. Giant trees that have fallen in here. That's beautiful. All right, so I'm gonna pause here for just a second and just kind of talk for a minute. One of the things about being out in the woods, which is great, is that you never know what you're gonna find. It's always an adventure, it's always something new, there's a lot of spontaneous things that are going on. 6 months ago when Hurricane Helene came through here, it really did a ton of damage to a lot of the rivers and creek areas in particular, right? And so normally what I would do is I'd kind of set the camera down and film myself kind of going up these things and stuff like that. But to be completely honest right now, I don't really want to be backtracking if I don't have to. So we're going to do this one a little bit different today. We're just going to kind of wander up through here, and I'm going to see if I can get through here. If I can't, one thing that I know for sure about being in the woods, on anything really, it's also okay to backtrack. Sometimes you don't have to push forward. If it's not safe, if it doesn't feel like it's the right thing to do for whatever reason it might be. It is good to push through sometimes, don't get me wrong, but you also have to trust yourself and understand that in some scenarios it's okay to backtrack. So we're gonna see how this goes right here and see if there's an access for me to get up through here. It's a beautiful spot right here, but I'm not totally sure. I don't think I can get right up the middle into here, which means that I would probably have to go up here and underneath all this and then around. So I'm not even sure that that's feasible right now. So I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna take a look at this, and yeah, we're gonna see what our options are right now. Seems that my only option would potentially be to go up in here and go up and over this and come down through there. I definitely don't want to try to go through this. It's beautiful, but it can be very dangerous. That is a very, very deep hole right there. Like I said, I'm a little more hesitant today than I might normally be. It has been raining, and things are pretty wet where they might not normally be wet. Like I said, I also just really don't know like how unstable all of this is. Those are big rocks, for sure. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's where they were 6 months ago. So yeah, probably can't see it in the camera, but that rock right there is definitely wobbly. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do that today. So I think that's a little bit too much risk for me right now, out here by myself. There's also a pretty significant fall back down into the creek right here. So yeah, so I think what we're gonna have to do, we're gonna backtrack, see if we can find a spot to sit down and meditate for a little bit. It's been an adventurous area already. Like I said, really it seems like the only way to get up is to just go through here. All that is sopping wet right now. And again, that's a pretty treacherous fall down into here. No idea how deep this hole is at this point. You know, if you got stuck in there, I'm not sure you can get out. Too bad, because that really looks like a really great area right in there. I'm really curious what's kind of up and around the bend right here, but yeah, I don't think it's gonna work out today. I don't really see a way around safely today. It's kind of frustrating, but we'll have to try again, I guess. Sometimes the best option is to just stop what you're doing. So we're gonna backtrack a little bit over here. I'm gonna try to get out of this area right here because this seems like an area that's very unstable at the moment. I'm gonna try to get back to a spot where maybe we can just sit down and do a little meditation here. There's a giant chunk of mica right there. All right, we made it safely back down to one of the first waterfall features that we had found. It's not where I had planned to sit down and do my meditation for today, but nature has other plans and sometimes we have to take a few steps back. That's just kind of how it goes. I do plan on coming back to revisit that area, but it's gonna need to be on a day where the weather is drier and everything is not so wet. I didn't feel safe crawling up and around that stuff with everything being so kind of unstable and wet at the same time. So we made it back down here safely. There's a perfect little spot right here where we're gonna sit down next to this waterfall and we're gonna meditate for a little bit. So this channel is about adventure and exploration. Exploration of the outdoors, adventure of the outdoors, but also exploration of myself, ourselves, as we're out here and we're trying to deal with the hectic nature of life. Being in this area, to be quite honest, is a little traumatic. It brings up a lot of memories of what happened 6 months ago. And so I think this will be a good exercise in mindfulness for me today, to be able to sit down in the middle of all of this and try to understand that things happen for a reason that we can't always explain. It is what it is, and we have to do our best to accept it and try to move forward in our life. So I started this channel as an adventure for myself, an exploration for myself, to work through, honestly, a lot of the trauma and grief that I have been dealing with for the last 8 months. So about 8 months ago, in the middle of August, my dad passed away. And that was a huge one for me. You know, he and I were very close, and I miss him every single day. And in the midst of all of that grief and trying to deal with those emotions and grief, about 6 weeks later, Hurricane Helene hit our area. And it just demolished lives and property and nature and everything. And honestly, that was That was a devastating point in my life. I was in a very dark place. I was in a very sad place in my life, and I honestly didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I have a wonderful wife and 2 beautiful kids at home. And while we need to deal with our grief and our trauma, I also think it's important. Our kids need us to be present. The people in our lives need us to be present. And it's hard to be in the present when you're still living in the middle of all of this grief and this trauma. So that's what a lot of this is. This is my journey to be mindful about where I am and appreciate what I have in my life, and to the best of my ability to be in the moment, out here in the woods, and reconnect, and to also be mindful and be present in the moment when I'm with my kids and my wife and my family and my friends and my community. And so that's what this is. This is a journey. So, you know, trying to gather myself a little bit so I can kind of finish my thought here. Starting to rain a little bit, which seems fitting right now, because sometimes it rains when you don't want it to. But again, I hope that this channel is a place where people can come and they can explore themselves in nature with me as I go through all of this, or as I'm in the middle of it. I don't even know if I'm going through it all the way just yet. I feel like lots of times I'm in the middle of it still. So anyways, here we are. We're in the middle of the woods. We didn't get to do what we wanted to do, but again, life has different plans sometimes. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take a minute to sit down here right now. We're gonna do our meditation session for a little bit longer today. The first couple I did for about 5 minutes, so we're gonna extend it out to 8 minutes today. I know that is not a large amount of time, but again, when you are in the middle of it and the only thing that you have are the thoughts in your head, the voice in your head, it can seem like an eternity sometimes. So I'm gonna try and sit down, and I'm gonna try and meditate and be present right here. So I'm gonna set my timer on my phone for 9 minutes, give myself a second to get over here. I'm gonna turn the camera off for a second so I can get it set up. Again, the thing that always grounds me out here in nature for my meditation is my breath. I focus on breathing in and breathing out because that is something that is happening right now. It's something I can focus on and ground myself on. So if you made it this far into the video, I appreciate everybody being here. I would love for you to sit down with me and do this today. So again, I'm gonna set this phone down, or excuse me, set this camera down, and I'm gonna get my phone because that's the only thing that I really have a timer on, right? And yeah, thanks for being here today. Thank you everybody for joining me for my meditation session today out here in the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains. That was a great one. It was needed. Like I said, there was a lot of stuff going through my head after journeying up this river, talking about things that have happened recently in the past for me. So I am documenting my journey, my exploration through mindfulness, through adventure out here in the woods for everybody. Hopefully this is helpful to some of you out there. I'd love to hear from folks in the comments, good and bad. But this has been really great for me to share. I think part of this is that I hope that these sessions and me talking about this stuff and being open and getting these feelings and these thoughts out there are also helpful to anyone who might be watching and anyone who might need this in their own life. I encourage all of you to try to be as mindful as possible. I know it is hard, life is super hectic right now, but any time that you can sit down, even for just a minute or two, and take a minute to focus on your breathing, especially if you're having some really heavy thoughts at the moment. We can't stop our thoughts from coming, but what we can do is we can realize that they are passing and that it's okay to see them and to let them pass by. Hopefully everyone enjoyed their adventure out here with me today. We're going to be doing one of these mindful journeys, adventures every single week. Everybody knows how YouTube works. Like I said, I'd love to hear from folks in the comments. If you like the video, please like it. I'd love for you guys to subscribe, and there'll be more coming every single week. Thanks for being here. Get out and enjoy the day.